we've been through a time collectively where things have arisen in the collective consciousness that has brought up a lot of fear and divisiveness and hope and excitement and a mix of everything depending on who you are and where you live, yes? And what we have been reminding ourselves of all month is that no matter what is occurring out there, we have the power within to create from that place of love and kindness the world that we desire to see, to experience, and to live in. So let us not ever forget, let us not outsource our good to anything out there. Now, that doesn't mean that when things happen, that doesn't mean when things happen that we don't allow ourselves to feel the emotions that emerge, because we are still humans living in this experience that have emotional responses to things. And the difference is not allowing the vibration of fear and despair, anger, whatever it be, to permeate and take over our lives such that we are living from that place. We acknowledge it, it comes out, it comes through, it is expressed, and then we get back to the work of doing what we do best in this teaching and empowering, activating the intention and the desire that we have for love to reign. Yes? So I want to share with you a little bit of the vision from Centers for Spiritual Living called our global vision. We envision all people, all beings, and all life as expressions of the one God, Spirit, life, universe, whatever word works for you. We see a world in which each and every person lives in alignment with their highest spiritual principle, emphasizing unity with God in connection with each other. A world in which individually and collectively we are called to a higher state of consciousness and action. We envision humanity awakening to its spiritual magnificence and discovering the creative power of thought. A world where each and every person discovers their own personal power and ability to create an individual life that works within a world that works for all. We envision a world where personal responsibility joins with social conscience in every area of the political, corporate, academic, and social sectors, providing sustainable structures to further the emerging global consciousness. And a world in which every person has enough food, a home, and a sense of belonging. A world of peace and harmony, enfranchisement, and justice. Yes? So this is a beautiful vision that was created, I was in practitioner training, I think almost over 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago, that came through the leadership at the time of Centers for Spiritual Living. And it is a vision that pulls us to something greater. In times of instability, whatever, turmoil, we have this vision to hold on to as the hope, as the trajectory for where we are going as a collective, yes? And yet, not any single individual can bring this vision to life, but each of us can contribute to making the difference. When we explore this idea of authentic power, of clean power, like we talked about the first week, right? So when we're talking about power here, we're not talking about power over or control. We're talking about that innate power within and to stand for truth. So when we explore this idea of our personal power, that is the divine within us, we get to open to what is Spirit's highest idea for our lives and for the world, and then say yes to contributing to that vision through our thoughts, words, and actions. Coming together with a shared intention magnifies that power of our desire. And we work in consciousness and take the action of that which we are called to do until which there will be a tipping point, creating that collective wave of transformation. I was listening to a podcast recently, and I have looked at some of the work before of the book, The Tipping Point, and now all of a sudden the author's name just escaped me. Malcolm Gladwell, thank you. So I encourage anyone who feels interested in this idea. He has a book called The Tipping Point, but you can also find him on YouTube and podcasts. And he talks about how when there are initial steps towards changing the status quo, right, the collective, it can feel very isolating and like a long road. So he gave a couple examples, one being that of marriage equality. And when those that were first working for this, it felt like they even had the goal of like maybe in 50 years, we'll get there. States were, outlawing it, all this stuff, but this is back in, 2007, so working up to it. And then all of a sudden, he explains there was a tipping point and a moment to where the consciousness shifted, and like within 1 year's time, it became rule of the land for marriage equality. Happened faster than those who were working towards it anticipated, because there was a collective energy, a resonance, perhaps I would say, not only from the statistical approach that he comes from, there was a willingness and a readiness in the consciousness to experience that shift. He also gave the example of talking with women who had moved into leadership, C-suite positions in corporations, and being the first woman on the board, how they would share an idea, nothing, then 5 minutes later, the man would share the same idea in his words, and everyone would be like, oh, what a great idea, let's do that. And the woman would be like, did I not just say that? Can I get an amen? Some of you probably have experienced that. And then he said, well, what was it like when another woman came on the board? Yeah, we had each other a little bit, and we kind of commiserate, but not much difference. The tipping point seemed to be when 3 women came on the board. The energy shifted, the perspective shifted, and there was a willingness for that perspective and that voice to be heard. So I say this for it is a time where we can come together with each other and look at the world and say, what is happening? We're wanting to believe in love and kindness, and then we're seeing evidence of more divisiveness and separation and fear and anger and being, pitted against each other in these ways. There will be a tipping point. And the more of us who ground in the nature of love, open our hearts and arms to continue walking this power, allowing this power to walk this path of love and kindness, those will begin to join. That vibration is magnetizing. Truth is magnetizing, y'all, right? Like you feel like you hear something out in life or wherever, song, music, and you're like, yes, it like resonates with your soul, that clear bell of truth. And then, boom, your vibration is an energetic match now to that. So let us keep walking this path of love, and do not be discouraged. Allow what is occurring and any evidence that shows otherwise to be a catalyst to stand even stronger in the power of love, and to speak truth to power, to know love in the face of fear. Because just as our thoughts and energies impact each other, each of our actions also contribute to this grand tapestry of change and shifting in the collective consciousness. So we can do this. I often talk about combining the two ways of experiencing life and creating change. One, in the invisible, in the world of consciousness and thoughts and beliefs and energy, right? And then the other in this physical form, this human body that we're in this physical world that we're in. So doing our work in consciousness and then asking what is ours to do to take action in the human form. And not judging each other with where we're at. Some people are more called and inspired and have the gifts and the talents to bring to the world of organizing and, marching and changing laws and whatever that might be. Others are called to hold the vibration of love through prayer and peace and personal connection with loved ones. So whatever it is that you feel inspired to do, I invite you to continue to ask and to listen to that voice and then take inspired action towards that collective wave that we are creating of peace and unity and possibility. Every action, however small it may seem, carries the potential to ripple out and make a difference. It's like a domino effect, right? So we want to be the ones that are creating a vibration of peace and harmony and love, being that movement that then can be that catalyst for the tipping point for the collective consciousness. Creating a world that works for all requires a conscious and intentional approach that extends beyond just noticing what's happening and talking about and complaining about or, preaching to the choir kind of an idea. We first have to embody that which we desire and stand for. So doing the work within ourselves. If we want to see a world of peace and kindness, how can we be more peaceful and loving and kind to ourselves within our own family unit, within our own community, starting where we're at, being that change we wish to see? We have the power to influence those around us. As individuals and groups and communities gather together, our collective voice holds tremendous power for making a difference. One of the ways that Ahava is working towards creating a world for all and joining our energies to make a bigger impact is by joining this organization called BUILD. Building United Interfaith Lexington through Direct Action is what it stands for. You're going to hear more about BUILD in January, but we recently officially joined at the last meeting. And it is an opportunity to have our voice be heard and be a part of a larger organization that's very well organized to make a bigger impact in the world, right? So instead of recreating the wheel and doing, all these, if you look out, there's all these different people doing all these different things. And I'm like, if we could all just come together with shared values, we can have a bigger impact. And so BUILD has been around for many years, and I am excited to be a part of this and to share more about what we are doing and working on. I'll share this one little bit. So at the meeting, this last one was called the Problems Assembly, and it's a very organic process. BUILD invites people to host home groups and to ask your neighbors, what are the problems that you see in your neighborhood, with your friends, with your family? What's affecting your well-being, your quality of life? And then of those, 3 ideas are presented to the group to say, what do we want to work on? And we pick one thing, the intention, right, for the whole year. And then there's research done, and then a plan created, and then a big assembly gathering at the Rupp Arena and holding the city council and other leaders accountable to saying, this is what your community is asking you to do. Will you do it? And there's thousands of people there. Yeah, it's powerful, right? So the idea that was voted on to start researching on, that we are being a part of, and I'm sharing this so we can all hold this kind of as a collective prayer, are renters' concerns. As you've heard, I'm sure many of you know, such things as rent just continuing to increase, but yet maintenance not being any better, people's maintenance requests just not even being fulfilled, or people being afraid to put in a request because they might raise their rent or kick them out. Application fees, they can accept 100 people can apply for an apartment, and they're saying you have to pay $100, and then they pick one, you don't get that money back. There are things that need to be looked at, yes? So we are, as a part of Build, now part of a greater collective that is really doing something to take direct action to affect the well-being of our citizens and other Lexingtonians. I will say the other two issues that were so close but were addiction and homelessness. And where we kind of got to, as the group of us from Ahava that attended to vote, was what is going to make the biggest impact? So if someone is suffering from addiction, Maslow's hierarchy, in order to stay out of addiction, you need a stable place to live. So homelessness. In order for people to have a place to live and to get off the streets, they need affordable housing and apartments that are easy to move into. So that's where we kind of got to that as the plan, and knowing that ripple effect will help raise it all. So by living our ideals and actively participating in the betterment of society, we get to sow the seeds of positive change and pave that world, a way for that world that embraces the potential of all individuals, fostering unity and harmony, and allowing for everyone to thrive. Jane Goodall says the indomitable human spirit is that quality in us that makes us tackle what seems impossible and never give up. So what we're seeing in the world is the resilience of the human spirit, right? We feel our feelings, and then we're like, okay, I can do this. I know each of us can look back in our lives at a time that we have overcome something that in the moment we thought was impossible. We thought was going to take us out whatever way, depression, addiction, feeling disempowered. And yet something within us is stronger, is more powerful than anything we can try to muster up with just human will. It is that power of spirit within us. And it is that indomitable, is that right, word, spirit, the resilience within us all. The impetus for change often comes from discontent, yes? In your life, have you left a relationship, left a job, moved? Why? Discontent. Sometimes we call it divine discontent. You may be happy in a certain situation for a while, and then all of a sudden things start shifting because guess what? We're always growing and changing. And as we evolve, all of a sudden, just like we grow out of our clothes when we're younger, the shoe doesn't fit. And that's okay. We could be in resistance to that and try to squeeze our foot into that shoe and suffer by walking around and getting blisters and in pain from a shoe that doesn't fit. Or we could say, perhaps the universe is inviting me to see something differently and to try on some new shoes. That's divine discontent. So I invite you now to take a moment and just close your eyes, maybe place your hands over your heart, and see, connecting with your heart, what is upsetting you? What is breaking your heart? What is troubling you in your life or the world today? And now, see if you can get to the opposite of the discontent. So, what are you being called towards? Or what are you being asked to stand for? Or what is seeking to be known as you in this situation? We may think of those qualities of God, such as love and peace and freedom, creativity, harmony, beauty. Yes, open your eyes again. Dr. Holmes, the founder of the Science of Mind teaching, said, what would it be like to be for something and against nothing? So we start with what's breaking our heart, right? We start with that discontent, the upset, the injustice. And then we say, what is seeking to be known here? What do I desire to see? What are the qualities that I want to see embodied in this world? And then take a stand for that as opposed to being against what you don't want to see. Because what we know is what we energize magnifies. And we have that creative power and that creative potential within us. So if you find yourself this week or any time saying, overwhelmed, perhaps, but what can I do, right? I'm just one person. Well, as the quote who is attributed to Brian Solis says, what can I do? I'm just one person, said 7 billion people. Right? Collectively, we can make a difference. And we must start by first recognizing and accepting our inherent power. The true essence of power to the people lies in embracing collective action and responsibility. The powerful notion loses its impact if we remain passive observers. But to bring real change, we get to engage as the spiritual beings we are in the world around us and bring that light. Sometimes just showing up to a group that is about direct action, social justice, whatnot, and showing up in a grounded space and holding the power of love can lift the vibration in the room so that more unity can occur. Maybe that's yours to do. I invite you to continue this week to ask what makes your heart sing. What is calling you to embody more, to get more engaged with, perhaps to find others who are as passionate about you, about what you are, and to find creative ways to build, support, and community. We have this community, and within this community, there's the opportunity for micro communities. So maybe a few of you here today are really passionate about animal rights. You can come together and form something that can have a greater impact. We have Colleen, who has been the steward of this Earth Care, green kind of team initiative at Ahava. If that's something that speaks to your heart as well, talk to Colleen. We can make a greater impact, right? This journey of power to the people, it transcends just personal empowerment. And it calls us to truly wake up, step up, and make a difference. to actively create a world where true power and potential of the one is celebrated and nurtured in, as, and through all. So are you ready to be a part of that tipping point in the collective consciousness to bring about more love and unity, peace, and power? If so, say yes. 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 All right, let's pray about it. Taking a deep breath. I am so grateful to recognize the one life, the energy, the source back of all things that is wholeness, that is freedom, that is power, that is love. This one life that is living and moving and having its way through me now. I'm so grateful to know this truth and to stand as the full embodiment of Spirit itself. So it is from this place of oneness that I speak this word now, knowing that that tapping on my heart is a call to love. So I choose each and every day to see love in the face of fear. I choose to rise above the status quo vibration of lack and fear, and to be the catalyst for transformation and healing on this planet and beyond. I know that my energy and essence can and will make a difference. For I am an extension of the one. So I'm so grateful to stand in this embodiment of truth and to open my awareness to see and to attract those in this world who are walking this path alongside me. To invite into my collective sphere of influence those who will support and magnify the vision of love and wholeness and freedom and creativity, so that together we can create a world that works for all. So I'm so grateful to know that no matter what is occurring in the world, no matter what is occurring around me, no matter what I may experience or face or conversations that may be had as we move into this Thanksgiving week and holiday season, that often we may gather with friends and family we haven't seen in a while, that we get to be that voice of spirit and truth, that we get to be the highest vibration in the room and allow others to rise up to know love and only love. So it is with great gratitude for the fulfillment of this prayer that I release it now into the action of the law that always says, yes, my beloved, yes, it is done. It is already done. And I rest easy in this, and I claim it, and then I let it be by saying, and so it is, and so it is.